Aloha mai kako, aloha. That's the spirit of Hawaii Kai. How many of you love Maunalua Bay? Woo! All right. How many of you own Maunalua Bay? All of you own it. All of you love it. And that's why we're here to listen to each other. This is going to be an education on whether side you're on, to find out what's going on, not just listening to facts or the fiction or confusing one with the other. But because this thing has gone a little bit beyond what normally happens in our community, a town hall meeting has been called. A town hall meeting is a time to air an issue. Remember, it's not a debate, it's not an argument, it's not we versus they or the good guys versus the bad guys. This is our lovely Hawaii Kai community, which we all hold very dearly. We all want to make it a better place. And tonight, thank you all for coming to do that very thing. Regardless of whatever side you are on, we are here to listen to each other. We're here to listen to what the federal perspective is, and shortly Malia Chow will come in from NOAA. We're here to listen to the state perspective, and we have the new DLNR director, Suzanne. We're here to hear the community perspective by the community organizations that are here and the individuals who are representative. Since we have started a little bit late, we're still trying to get the federal and the state perspective with Malia and Suzanne, maybe the first half hour, the organizations for the next half hour, and then the third half hour to get you out by 8:30, if that is the time limit. We want to have an open discussion with as many individuals, with as many comments and as many questions as possible. You know, if there's anything that's happened, it's where a lot of misinformation gets out so quickly about particular issues. And you know, Hawaii Kai is no stranger to controversy, particularly land use controversy. How many of you seen us waiting on the highway for kaiwi? How many of you don't want cabins on kaiwi? Okay, that's another issue. But the point is, in Hawaii Kai, we've had a lot of land use issues. I'm not going to mention the Great Lawn, or even back in the 80s when we had other serious land use. Back even 40 years when Safe Sandy Beach was an issue. But when it comes to water issues, we are as equally vehement. We are as equally impassioned when it comes to ocean use. And that's why I think tonight we've probably gone to the point where as much as can be done possible at the government level, it's time to take it down here to the community level. And at the community level, I want to stress the point that, you know, we are Hawaii Kai and we're proud to be Hawaii Kai. We are for a reason called Hawaii Kai. And because of that, I want you to turn on the back side of your agenda. Everybody's got an agenda, right? Turn on the back side. What does it say? How to be a good Hawaii Kai participant. No, it says, what are the ground rules? Because some of you have come in a little bit angry, a little bit frustrated, and I hope before you leave tonight, you're going to be less angry, less frustrated, and more enlightened. And I want you to welcome now Malia Chow, who's just walked in. Malia, welcome. Malia Chow of NOAA. We're going to introduce you shortly. Please have a seat with your counterpart. She couldn't find parking.
You have to park illegally.
Okay, that's a good sign, a good turnout. Okay, ground rules.
How are you doing?
How many of you checked your egos at the door? Oh, okay, we got two people check their egos at the door. That's kind of an umbrella ground rule. But the specific ones that we want to be really attentive to are these 7. And the first one is, look, tonight is not a debate, it's not a shouting or a contest between who can yell or who can do the most. It's really a discussion. And a discussion is, let's hear the other person. Let's, as it says in number 2, let's practice aloha. You know, we talk about aloha, we believe in aloha, but when it comes to the guy cuts you off in the highway, we don't practice it. And tonight, a lot of you are going to be tempted to throw your aloha out the window. So I just want to remind you that because it's such a large group, and because it's been such a contentious issue, because of misunderstanding, that I'm hoping tonight you're going to leave all in the same canoe and hopefully singing off the same sheet of music. We're not going to sing Kumbaya, but it's going to be a bit of a, how would you say, an uplifting because of what we have a mutual respect for not only our community, but for our fellow citizens. One person speaks at a time. I know there's been meetings in other places where everybody's talking at once. And I'm going to introduce the elected officials shortly, and they're going to join with me being the Lalo is on the job. I was going to see when I mentioned elected officials, we got a lot of feedback here. A lot. Some people love it, some people do not. When the debates get too hot, I've got 5 elected officials here. They're going to be the Sergeant of Arms, and we're going to be able to make decorum or make the role proper. But let's look at number 5. Ask questions, make your point without being contentious. You know, you can have a different opinion and not have to dislike somebody or dislike that opinion. I mean, these are basics, but look, I know when I was early in my political career, if someone disagreed with you, they didn't like you. And because they disagreed with you, you probably shouldn't like them. That is so wrong and so bad. Disagreement or agreeing to disagree is healthy. That's what democracy, that's what dialogue is about. Now, I'm not here to give you a goody two-shoes how to behave, but a lot of people were concerned that you get that many people in one room about so many issues with so many different contentions, they're not going to be civil. I said, no, this is Hawaii Kai. They're going to be civil, but we'll give them a couple of reminders. And in the last part of it, the reminder is the ad hominem. My daughter's going to go to law school, possibly. She said, don't introduce her. She's sitting in the front row here. And she said ad hominem means you're going to attack the person, not the problem or the discussion or what the idea is. So please, when you do anything aggressive tonight, attack the idea, not the particular individual or what group they belong to or what is the particular proposition that they're trying to promote. And lastly, and I'd add a 5th one, be open-minded. I know my testimony is somewhere in the agenda that was stapled and given out at the door. I want to be open and vulnerable because I think I made some mistakes in my testimony, and some people have already pointed out, hey, Gene, that's not what it says in that particular NOAA proposal. So join me in being vulnerable. Join me with an open mind. If you've made a few misinterpretations, admit it, and we'll go on with it. And remember, tonight is only a discussion about the future of Maunalua Bay. It's not the decision about Maunalua Bay. The decision is probably going to be next 6 to 12 months down the line, but your input is invaluable. Your input is very, very important because the June 19 comment period is over, and it's going to be the discussion between these 2 ladies, between the federal government and the state government, that's going to make a difference. And the more civil you are, you will be the more persuasive in winning the hearts and minds of these 2 who are going to make a decision, and then Governor Ige is either going to sign it or he's not going to sign it. Okay, enough from me and enough about being a kinder and gentler participant in tonight's town hall meeting. I want to introduce the people who are the joint sponsors of this, and they have the opportunity to say whatever they want to say, but I want to introduce them. The first one I want to introduce is in a cast. And he is usually walking very quickly, but tonight he's a bit slow. Please welcome Senator Sam Sloan. Senator Sloan.
Aloha, everyone. Thank you all for coming out tonight, spending your evening with us. Ooh, get plenty of rules, yeah? I came here to shout, but if I can't shout, I won't shout. You heard all the things that we're not here to do. Let me tell you what we are here to do. We're here to separate fact from fiction. We're here to get answers to all your questions. This town hall meeting, introduced by and organized by Representative Ward, is for you. We want to leave here tonight with a clear understanding of what the issues are and what we can do about it. It's always good to have meetings where people talk. We want to have action. We want to get results. That's what it's all about. That's why you're here tonight. So please participate, please take part, and thank you so much for coming. Aloha.
Thank you, Senator. And may your cast heal well. Also, the next person I'm going to introduce used to be sitting up front as the chair of DLNR. She's now Senator Laura Thielen. Senator Thielen, where are you? Please come forward.
Aloha. Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight. I just want to add to what Sam said. We're not only here to listen to what the facts are and what the proposal is, but we're also here to share what we like and what we don't like about that. Because Maunalua Bay needs help, regardless of whether it becomes part of the sanctuary or not. There is a lot of activity there, there's a lot of runoff there, there's a lot of damage that needs to be restored, and there's a lot of public safety that needs to be, excuse me, make sure that we follow. Many of us remember that young man who was killed a couple of years ago swimming out in the bay. So when we listen tonight, it shouldn't just be yes or no yelling at each other. Listen and talk about what it is that you like, what it is that you don't like, and what your preferred alternative is. Because it's going to take a partnership with the state and with some help from the federal government, whether it be a sanctuary or in some other form, to make sure that we can take care of our coastal waters and our nearshore environment, because they need a lot of help, and none of us can do it on our own. Mahalo, Gene.
Thank you. Well said, Senator Thielen. And my colleague from the State House of Representatives, please welcome Representative Mark Hashem.
Aloha, everybody. My name is Mark Hashem. I share the district basically from this school west, and Gene Ward shares from this, literally this school east. And I want to thank you all for having me here and everybody coming out tonight, because we all agree that Maunalua Bay needs to be protected. We all agree and we all love the bay. However, there's most of us, probably a lot of us in this room, have concerns. And so please address your concerns, and this is the time where we get the answers to our questions. So be sure to don't yell and just ask your questions, and the panel here will be more than happy to give you answers. Mahalo.
Thank you, Mark. Representative Mark Hashem. Do I see Trevor Ozawa? Do I not see Trevor Ozawa? Our councilman? Anyone speaking on his behalf? Not so. We will therefore move to the Hawaii Kai Neighborhood Board. Please welcome Greg Knutson, the chair of the Hawaii Kai Neighborhood Board.
Thank you. It's evident from this turnout that there are a lot of questions, and I think we have to keep in mind that whichever perspective you're coming from, they're all legitimate questions. Part of the process has risen to this stage because the answers have not been all that clear or sufficient. We even had a portion on the neighborhood board a couple of months ago, yet didn't feel like it clarified the situation sufficiently. So we've gone past the public comment stage, but I would think that perhaps one outcome from this kind of turnout and the questions that still exist is that maybe another formal period for public comment might be opened. Once we know a little more about the facts, then let's see if we can get that in. Anyway, thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you for running the Hawaii Kai Neighborhood Board as efficiently as your comments just reflected. Before I introduce the first speaker from NOAA, Elaine Chow, I want to do a shout out to Olelo. Thank you to John, Dane, and Darren for coming out and for doing their second actual showing of the day. They usually do one, but they felt it was so important to come to Hawaii Kai. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you, guys. Secondly, I want to do a shout out to, and actually an inventory. I want to know if the community associations that are going to follow the federal and state presentations are here. Is the Hawaii Kai Marina Hawaii Kai Marina Community Association here? Could you raise? Okay, is that Robin? Okay, Robin is here. Okay, because when these associations speak, they speak for a lot of people. And we want to make sure that after our two presenters, the keynoters, that they are able to be heard. Livable Hawaii Kai Hui. Is Elizabeth Riley here? Not yet? I don't see any hands going up. How about Hawaii Kai Boat Club? Yeah. Carl, Todd, I saw Carl. Welcome. Okay. Welcome, you guys. Malama Maunalua, are you here? Frazier McGill. Frazier, is that you in the back? Okay, Frazier, welcome. Welcome. Okay. How about friends of Maunalua Bay? Are you here? Okay, friends. That was a very friendly welcome for friends. Friends of Hanauma Bay? No, that's the model for our community, by the way, in terms of working for a nature preserve, having the community work, having volunteers, having funds, etc. How about the Hawaii Fishermen's Association, HVAC? HVAC, are you here? Okay. Ron Tam? Huinalo. I didn't get a name. Is Huinalo here tonight or wanting to speak? I don't see. They're probably just taking their canoes out of the water. The Hunting, Farming, and Fishing Association. Makani, are you? Okay, Makani's here. Okay, terrific. And I want to give a special shout out, and I don't know where they're sitting, but I was told that people have flown in from Kauai and the Big Island to show solidarity. Could you people from the neighbor islands stand up? Could we give them a round of applause? Where's the neighbor island people? We got one. Two neighbor island people. Okay. Thank you, guys. That's making a statement. I know it's not cheap to fly anywhere any longer in Hawaii. Okay, now I want to introduce the first keynote speaker, the first person who, as you know, is the progenitor or the one who has worked so long and hard at this particular proposal. Her name is Malia Chow. She was born in Hawaii. She was educated in Pennsylvania. She has a PhD in molecular biology. Is that true? Molecular biology. Is that rocket science? But she went away on the mainland, and guess what she joined? She joined NOAA almost 14 years ago, has it been? 14, 15 years ago. She is now, and I was going to introduce her as the Catherine Matayoshi of the Sea, the superintendent of the sanctuary, who is now the one who's going to tell you all you ever wanted to know about the NOAA proposal. And then Susan Case is going to talk about it, and from the state perspective, and then you, the organizations and the individuals, are going to talk about it. So let's put our hands together for Miss Malia Chow.
Wow. Yeah, thank you so much, Representative Ward and the other elected officials for having us here this evening. Can you hear me okay? Is that better? No. How is that? Okay, I'm going to try my best, and let me know if my voice drops. I have not been in front of a room this size probably since last month. So, yes, my name is Malia Chow. I am the sanctuary superintendent. I am not the progenitor of this proposal. There are a lot of staff in the room, and I brought several other people, and I see many people that we've been interacting on the neighbor islands. I've been the superintendent now for about 4 years, and I came on specifically with the intent to try to ask what can a national marine sanctuary here in the Hawaiian Islands do in addition to what we have been doing for the last 2 decades, which is to protect whales. As many of you know, we did put a draft out in March. It's been out for public comment for 90 days. We had a public hearing here in Hawaii Kai. It was standing room only. And unfortunately, because of the nature of these hearings, I couldn't answer questions, which was extremely frustrating, because many of you who were there stood up and asked a lot of questions, specifically about what we're proposing from Maunalua Bay. So I want to be very clear that Maunalua Bay is the one highlight of our proposal, and I can see now of the interest and passion of the Bay based on how many people have just showed up here tonight. So I still think that for a lot of the reasons which I'll go to either now or when I answer your questions, that Maunalua Bay does need as many county, state, federal agencies working together with communities to try to do what we can to continue to heal the Bay. There's been a long history of work done by community groups to try and heal the Bay. NOAA, specifically through the Office of National Marine Sanctuaries, is one of the newer groups to come in and actually propose some of the ideas that we have. I want to be clear, though, that the sanctuary is part of NOAA, and NOAA has been working in Maunalua Bay for a very long time. So the Office of National Marine Sanctuaries is a rather small program in the larger part of NOAA. We are one of 2 programs that are place-based. What that means is that we have lines on a map that say we have management responsibility in this place. And when the Humpback Whale Sanctuary was designated over 2 decades ago, it was done with the understanding that it would be co-managed by the state of Hawaii through the Department of Land and Natural Resources. We have a compact agreement with the state of Hawaii. So when I hear that this is a federalization and a takeover of state waters, I have to scratch my head, because I think we've already been in state waters. We already have management responsibility for the sanctuaries across the state of Hawaii. So we have a staff of about 12 to 15 people. We have offices on different islands. We had an office out here in Hawaii Kai. I see some of my NOAA colleagues out here, so I need to talk a little bit more about the larger part of NOAA's investment and interest in Maunalua. Through some of our authority of the National Marine Sanctuaries Act, we asked the question to the public 5 years ago to say, what's different about Hawaii's waters compared to when we were established 2 decades ago in the 1990s? And have things changed, and are there new issues that would warrant you to want to consider different kinds of resources and assets that NOAA could bring to the table? That's what started this process. It was this with the idea that NOAA already has a presence here. How can we support the state to achieve its mission? So that's the history. We put a draft out where we thought we captured what we felt is not just what people are wanting. I'm seeing some shaking of heads. I respect your opinion, but I would say the idea of getting the draft out and getting people to tell us if it's working or not is what this is about. And I have to say, looking out at all of you tonight, I have to say this is democracy in action. Now, Representative Ward did say that our public comment period closed on June 19th. That doesn't mean that we don't have an opportunity to continue to dialogue with you. In fact, in many ways, the dialogue has just begun. We put our best effort out to say this is what we think we can do. Now's the opportunity to refine it and work with community organizations, and I say specifically Maunalua, because we've identified it as a special sanctuary management area. So moving forward, I was just meeting with staff this afternoon. We have over 3,000 submissions that have come in, and we're still analyzing those comments. We are doing that while it was a NOAA proposal. While it was NOAA staff working with the state to develop it, it was a NOAA proposal. From here on out, it will be done with the state of Hawaii. Nothing that we do in finalizing our plan is going to be done without agreement with the state of Hawaii. So state staff are now working with us to analyze the comments. State staff will work with us to respond to comments, and state staff will work with us to finalize our proposal. So the door is open, and I, again, appreciate these opportunities to really hear what people think. I've been meeting with many stakeholders, several of them I'm recognizing here now, to really understand what your input is. And if our draft EIS did not capture the impacts that you're concerned about, then this is an opportunity for us to hear it, to hear more specifically why you think our proposal is going to affect your businesses, your ability to recreate, or your ability to get out in the water. That's not our intention. But if that's what you think, then let's have that conversation, because we need to better understand why you think our proposal is affecting your ability to get out in the water. Let me just say, and then I'm going to turn this over to Suzanne Case. Next steps, we, as Representative Ward said, we have a whole process now to go through the comments. But I've also committed to, at an initial stakeholder group, the commercial operators, that we will form a working group through our Sanctuary Advisory Council. So we have a very large representation of an advisory council that gives us advice and recommendations. We've agreed to form a working group made up of commercial operators of Maunalua Bay, because when they say that they're concerned that our proposal is going to shut down their activities, we all need to better understand what operations you're doing, where they take place, how often that they occur. That's the next set of conversations we need to have. At our next advisory council meeting on July 20th, next Monday, we're going to form this group, and I will reach out to many of the operators so that we can continue this dialogue. So that's for the commercial operators. Once we go through our comments and continue to collect input, as I mentioned, we'll probably be doing this around August, September. We'll analyze the comments and begin to sit down with not just the state of Hawaii, but we've got the Coast Guard, we have EPA, We have several federal agencies that are now, we are engaging with about how do we bring together a collective set of resources at the federal level to support some of the state objectives and for that matter, community objectives. So I'll just finish by saying, not only are we one of the only place-based organizations in all of NOAA where we have lines on the map and this is what we manage, we are also one of the more, I would say, we do a lot of public outreach. And it is really important to us to hear from the public what we have to say. We did 4 public hearings in Kauai County. I think that was over and above, and we will continue to dialogue with you, because at the end of the day, we're trying to create a national marine sanctuary here in the Hawaiian Islands that reflects what the needs of the people of Hawaii are. So I'll leave it at that, and happy to answer any questions. Aloha.
Thank you, Malia. Thank you very much. There'll be plenty of time for questions, but I want to make sure that we get the presentations out, and then the community organizations, after Suzanne Kay speaks, will be lining up and speaking from the podium so everybody can see everybody making a comment, and every comment can be recorded by Olelo, so there's a posterity in what we're doing tonight. Some would say that the next person needs no introduction, but she does because she's brand new with DLNR. But I know her brother more than I know her, so I can't introduce her. Even though she's a lawyer, her brother's a lawyer. She has her law degree from the University of California, Hastings, San Francisco. Is that correct? She's from Hilo. Some of the friendliest people are from Hilo, because I did Peace Corps training there, is why I say that. And
probably at my school.
at Waikiuka, as a matter of fact, up in the hillside. But Suzanne Case is the director of the Department of Land and Natural Resources. She's been the director, or the executive director, of the Nature Conservancy. She's a graduate of Punahou, and I was told that I can say with some degree of certainty that you were the first female president of the class in Punahou. Or was that a rumor that you're...
That's like on an old resume.
Okay, I read an old resume. I think it came on LinkedIn or the Star Advertiser. Is the Star Advertiser here, by the way? Silver Beat was here earlier. Okay, sorry. Okay, thank you, sir. I got it from you, I think. But without further ado, please welcome Suzanne Case, Director of DLNR.
Thank you very much, Representative. Good evening. Yeah, I'm Suzanne Case. I'm the pretty new chair of DLNR. I can't play dumb for too much longer, but I think it's 2.5 months so far. So, I will try to answer questions as specifically as possible. But really, if you have specific questions about the sanctuary proposal, Malia will probably be the best person to answer them so far. But I can talk about the process. And I wanted to agree that it's a joint process from here forward. The sanctuary has been around for several decades, and the state and NOAA are co-managers of the sanctuary. And so there's been some great progress over the last decades, some really good work with outreach and whale entanglements and the like. And so there's been a lot of good come from it, and there's a lot of great potential for sanctuary. And I think if you look around the room, there's a huge what I see in this room is just a great deal of energy and passion for Maunalua Bay. And I love that. And with my work with the Nature Conservancy, I did quite a bit of work in Maunalua Bay. I've done some things recreationally in Maunalua Bay, and from my perspective, the bay needs help. The bay needs help, and there's a lot of challenges for the bay in terms of fisheries are very down from what they used to be. There's a lot of mud coming into the bay. There's a lot of issues with various people wanting to use it for different reasons, and the pressure on the bay has grown in the last few decades. And so my challenge to you is how to use kind of the energy that the sanctuary process has brought forward to have a much deeper discussion about how we can all work together to help the bay and to help it be the kind of a place where you can live and enjoy and thrive. recognizing the incredibly increased pressures over the last decades on the bay. So I think that's a strong driving point here. And so I would say, I would like to, challenge all of us to use this discussion as a starting point. I think for Sanctuary specifically, this is an opportunity to ask questions and get some answers. But the process of reviewing comments has just begun, and the state is working with NOAA to organize the comments, review them, and start to analyze them and respond to the comments that were just the comment period that closed on the 19th. But Malia is right. This is the start of a much larger conversation, and obviously one that really needs to be continued. And so at DLNR we have another process that we've started, and that's the Recreational Advisory Council that we've asked for people to participate in. The Bay has had I think a cutting edge, if you will, a zoning plan for the Bay from the 80s. But it needs updating, and there's people who are interested in a variety of uses, from fishers, recreational users, commercial users, all kinds of ways to enjoy the Bay. And so we at DLNR would like to have a process where we can have those kinds of conversations in contexts that can help, like, really be creative and reach across boundaries and the like. So, but we're not wedded to any one process. There's obviously several processes going, and perhaps what we need is some sort of larger, longer scale master planning process that we can all participate in various ways. So, I'd like to offer that as, ours can be a part of that, or there may be a substitute that kind of is an umbrella for that. So we're totally open to whatever's the best way to do that. We need to do our part to make sure that our rules are current and reflect the actual uses. But I obviously think there's a larger conversation that we very much need. The state does not have a position on the sanctuary, and it doesn't have a position on the sanctuary in Maunalua Bay. The conversation about sanctuary expansion in purpose or geographic locations is one that's been going on for a while. NOAA went ahead and put together a proposal. I think that's a very important step in the process, because you have to, start the conversation by having something to bounce off of, and that's what the comment collection is all about. But we don't have a position. We actually submitted comments, on June 19th. By June 19th, that was a collective assembly of various comments from various state agencies. With a lot of questions. And so we have many of the same questions that you have, and want the process and the EIS to dig quite a bit deeper to try to lay that out. Some of the questions we have are, what exactly is the difference between in regulatory regimes between what's going on now and what might be under the sanctuary. And I would like to see a side-by-side comparison, so it's really clear to all of us. What are the processes now in place versus under a sanctuary for permitting? What is there added benefit? Is there added burden? What are the things that the sanctuary designation can bring? So I guess in the big picture, what I hope we will all ask is what do we want for the Bay, and what is the best way to get there? And I recognize that that's different for different people, and that's why we have to have this conversation. And so I look forward to working with you all in that, and helping to answer questions tonight, but mainly to have that larger conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. By the way, I like your 39 pages that you wrote, and there's a sneak preview in your agenda. If you look at DLNR's, I think it's on page 3 of what your handout was. It's a primer, if you will, a summary of DLNR's position. And it's in that you get more details. And Malia, my apology, I couldn't put the 200, 300, 400 pages of yours in. Even your summary was too big to give a sneak preview. Okay, now it's time for the community organizations and their leaders to speak. And I wanted to call on the first one by the name of the Hawaii Kai Marina Community Association, because let me speak to you two decision makers. Some people felt that their houses were in jeopardy because they live on the marina. Now, look, this may or may not be true, but when you feel that Hawaii Kai is no longer going to be Hawaii Kai because the marina can't be dredged or whatever, Robin, she's coming up here, please listen closely, because whenever your children or your animals or your livelihood or your housing is threatened, people get very, very excited. How many of you are from the Hawaii Kai Marina Community Association? Let me see your hands. Wow, there is proof of the pudding right there. These people have a vested interest in what now their president, Robin, is going to say. Robin, let's welcome Robin, the president of the Community Association.
Hi, I'm the vice president of the Marina Association. Bob Clark is our president. So first of all, I wanted to go over the issues that we have identified as being important to the Marina Association. The first one is that the Maunalua Bay Action Plan specifies major causes of degradation in Maunalua Bay as being contaminated runoff and sediment from watersheds and drainage culverts and unsustainable commercial fishing practices. However, the proposed rules do nothing to affect or regulate either issue, and in fact, an exemption is included in section 922.184A64 for commercial fishers holding a permit issued by the state of Hawaii. Why are we concerned about this? Because the culverts run through our bay and come out into the sanctuary. Who will be held responsible for fixing those culverts if we're to clean up Maunalua Bay, if in fact the sedimentation is really one of the major issues? So we have a concern about who will be responsible for that. Yeah.
More statements and then no big Q&A.
Secondly, NOAA's proposal is a duplication redundancy of existing state regulations already in place, and there's no identified process, timeframes, or cost associated with additional permitting. Rather than duplicating existing state and federal regulations, the sanctuary should clearly identify any regulatory gaps that may exist and, as appropriate, develop a proposal that complements existing regulations. This is a quote from the DLNR comment letter to NOAA. So what we're saying there is we don't need more regulation. We have regulation. We don't need our state waters taken over by the federal government. We want to stay in control. Currently, the SSMA will require additional permitting for dredging activities in the marina and our easement of 130 feet into the bay itself. We are mandated by the deed that Kamehameha Schools gave us to maintain the marina and keep it in good repair in perpetuity for the residents of the association and the Hawaii Kai residents. We already go through extensive and robust permitting processes with the state of Hawaii and the Army Corps of Engineers. Why does NOAA get the final say on whether we get a permit to dredge? And if we are denied that permit, there is a possibility that our channel could fill up. We would not have navigable waters in and out of the marina, and that will actually potentially affect property values within the marina. Lastly, the SSMA plan states that they, NOAA, are sensitive of cultural processes. However, their plan specifically prohibits scattering of human remains unless you get a special permit from NOAA, and in order to get the permit, you must be bonded and insured. There's not too many regular people who can afford to be bonded and insured.
Does she want me to answer those?
The question number one. Do you
Oh.
have a question?
Yeah, let me, okay.
No, I wrote them all down.
Oh, you wrote them all down?
Yeah. All right, so thank you, Robin. Nice to see you again. Nice to see you. Let me take the last one first. There's been a lot of confusion about the scattering of human remains and this idea of cremation. We in Maunalua Bay, it's the one place we are proposing this particular prohibition of no discharge into the bay. We give a full exemption for the discharge of biodegradable materials. And in our estimation, that includes the scattering of ashes. Specifically, the exemption says you can, for cultural and ceremonial purposes, discharge into the sanctuary, and we give an examples of flower lei, paper lanterns, etc. And that's right from our proposal if you actually read it. The intention is to allow the ability for people to continue to do these cultural practices and ceremonial practices that are really important to them. Now, because this issue was raised by Robin to me a couple of weeks ago about the special use permit, I went to our NOAA lawyers and I said, I understand that the special use categories that were created. Now keep in mind, we are a network of national sites across the country. There are a set of national guidelines and standards. She just quoted to you what is a special use permit for all sanctuaries across the country. I said, does our exemption at the site level overrule the special use categories? And we were told yes, that our specific regulations that we were creating for the Humpback Whale Sanctuary, perhaps to have a different name, would apply over and above the national special use categories. Now, you may not believe me, but I did check on that. And okay.
What's the next question? Next question.
Why?
You can't scatter ashes.
That's correct.
Can we get that in writing? Yes.
The Federal Register says,
Right.
the Federal Register says something different.
Our intention.
Question number two.
Okay.
Why do you believe it is necessary for NOAA to have the final authorization authority about dredging our channel and our maintenance?
Yes. Can I answer that? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So let's be clear that in the prohibitions that we put in place, Robin is correct. We are actually giving ourselves permitting authority. Specifically related to the dredging, it's a really important point. I hope people hear it. I've mentioned this several times, and I don't think people fully understand. The exemption that's written in the no disturbance of the seafloor regulation actually allows dredging for harbor maintenance. When Robin took myself and NOAA leadership out to Cocoa Marina specifically to show this easement where the dredging occurs, we agreed that that is related to harbor maintenance, to be able to allow ingress and egress of boats into the harbor. So A, there is an exemption. Secondly, the other part of our proposal is that we're giving ourselves authorization ability. This is what we're proposing. And the reason is we don't want to be the ones issuing all the permits. For example, if the state of Hawaii, well, I'll give you a very specific example. Army Corps of Engineers has given Cocoa Marina a permit to dredge until 2018. Under our proposal, we don't have the ability now, but under our proposal, if it goes through, we can authorize that permit without having to issue another permit. Other sanctuaries across the country do this. So you may not believe me. You can go and call Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuaries, which also has this on the west coast of California. Thank you.
She got another question about the drainage, about how you're going to stop the...
Right. So what is NOAA's plan to address the drainage culverts and runoff that flows into the bay?
I thought your question was, and correct me if I'm wrong, Robin, I thought your question was about the culverts in the marina. Was that your question? Yes, correct. Okay. So it's important to understand that the marina is not part of the National Marine Sanctuary. All harbors, and particularly Cocoa Marina, is excluded. I think, if I understand the issue, it passes through the marina and then enters into the bay. So you're saying, would Cocoa Marina Association be liable for the discharge that passes through and enters the bay? That is very hard to prove, and I can't think of an example. Now, okay. Our authority is in the marine environment. Thank you.
Ms. Case, would you care to comment on any of those, or we can go to the next association? Robin, that's all you have. Let's give Robin a hand. Thank you, Robin. Thank you so much. Good job. And comments. Suzanne Casewell.
I guess what I would just say is, again, in the larger discussion, the issues are what do we do about runoff into the bay? It's a very, very complicated, very expensive challenge to fix. And so I think what we should do is ask NOAA to be clear on what the sanctuary proposal can bring to the table. But it's also regulated by the EPA and the State Department of Health, and there are mechanisms in place to regulate it. The question is, what do we do when the fixes are so complicated and expensive, like way beyond individual capabilities? So you got to pick your battles. But the question is, what can we do? And so specifically, what is the sanctuary proposal? What can it bring to the table? And what else is out there that we could look at to try to start to fix some of these things?
Okay, that means an ongoing discussion between those two. The next person I want to call up is Carl Todd, or who's from the Hawaii Kai Boat Club. Carl, come on up. I want to thank everybody. Everybody's being so polite. I'm really touched and impressed. And we're actually almost right on time. So, Carl, your comments and questions to the panel.
Thank you. Thank you, Gene. My name is Todd Carl. I'm the co-founder of the Hawaii Kai Boat Club. We established 6 years ago. We're about 200 and some odd households, 500-ish members. And we represent basically the boating community at large. And this was never really addressed as the boating community. There was paddlers and divers, which we all are. But they seem to look over our little organization called the Hawaii Kai Boat Club, which we brought together to bring all of us together as boaters. Specifically, we spearheaded a youth sailing program to teach our kids about the respect for the ocean. And we've done a good job of this over 6 years. And I don't think we have a problem trying to have respect more for that out in our bay. So our club members use the bay for many different things. We go out in our boats and any kind of vessel. We anchor out, we relax, we go surfing. We do all the things that we love about Hawaii Kai. So why should we have NOAA tell us what we can and cannot do out there? You asked us what we want. We don't want you to tell us what we can and cannot do out there, okay? We respect the ocean, but we don't want someone to tell us what we can and cannot do out there, okay? Thank you.
That question was a comment. Oh, okay. Remember, you have a question also that he didn't ask you. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, so we didn't know we were going to present tonight, and I helped write the complaints that Hawaii Kai Boat Club submitted to the NOAA website. And yeah, so just to Todd's point, I mean, we represent both the members of the club and the general members of Hawaii Kai, because those are the members of our club. But anyway, our concerns are that there really isn't a problem right now as we see it. You know, everyone seems happy with how the bay is being managed. And I haven't heard NOAA even make any official complaints about DLNR. So the question is, you know, why is all this additional regulation necessary? And the strange thing is, in all of this, is that there's no addressing of the overfishing of the bay, which really is the obvious problem to anybody that's spent any time in the bay. And it seems strange to do all of this and not address that problem. So I'd like to ask about that.
Sure.
Either of you addressing the question?
Oh, yeah,
There's the
thank
mic.
you. So we do see the bay as there is a need for more effort to try to get the bay to be restored. Now, to the question as to why we're not addressing fishing. So NOAA is a very large organization, and we do have a whole separate office of National Marine Fisheries Service. And of course, DLNR, you don't see us complaining about DLNR because they're the lead agency on managing fishing in state waters. Our proposal makes it clear that we do not plan to regulate fishing because we're going to defer to the state of Hawaii in what it needs to do to regulate fishing. And in federal waters, it would be NOAA, National Marine Fisheries. Thank you.
Malia, let me follow up. His other question was why more regulation? And I believe Suzanne Case in her presentation said, you know, we need more enforcement, we need more assets, we need more resources. More regulations and another layer is not really called for. And I think that's what the gentleman had to ask. Why do we want more regulations is basically the question. That is to Malia. And Suzanne, I think it was part and parcel of your 39 pagers. Why more regulations rather than enforcement of existing regulations?
So, yeah, that is the question. We feel that Maunalua Bay, we are not satisfied as a sanctuary in looking at all the different threats occurring in the bay, that the status quo would continue to allow the bay to thrive. I think I heard in your comment that there's no problem. I think I've heard people say nothing's broken, so why are you proposing this? The data that both TNC has collected, NOAA through the Coral Reef Ecosystem Division and over at the Hawaii Institute of Marine Biology actually shows that Maunalua Bay is one of the more degraded bays in the state of Hawaii. I think that maybe there are some other bays that have a low biomass, but over time, there's been a severe decline of resources in the bay. Now, maybe all of you feel that's okay. But NOAA, as being an organization of science and monitoring, would like to try to reverse that. And I was very encouraged after the Great Huki. Some NOAA funds in partnership with TNC came in and removed a lot of invasive species. But there's been ongoing monitoring of that effort. It's very exciting to see that the bay is beginning to show signs of recovery. So part of the reason why we think that regulations are needed here is to try to manage the multiple stressors that are occurring in the bay to give the bay a chance to heal. So that's the why. I'm going to turn this to Suzanne.
If I could come back around, Malia, if that's true. Sorry.
Case wants to.
Oh, okay. Well, just to bring it back around quickly, I mean, overfishing is a problem, and if the goal really is to do something about the bay, it seems strange to leave that out.
So I'll just say, you know, it depends on what the best opportunity for updating the regulations are. And again, I'm just going to lobby for a larger, more long-term discussion. You know, with respect to a statement that with regard to boats, we don't have a problem. I've heard from a lot of people in the last couple of months, different things, concern that the areas for different activities are not honored by everybody, either on the commercial side or the recreational side. I've heard specific comments from people. I've seen video. Questions about how come we have this proliferation of commercial use that is, wasn't anticipated in the 80s, and it's creating pressure on my favorite spots. What can we do about it? Again, I just think that that it represents the increased pressure on the Bay, and whatever process we go through, whether it's the recreational process that DLNR is contemplating, or the sanctuary process, or another process. I think those kinds of things are ripe for digging in and addressing. Along with that is enforcement. Obviously, DLNR is charged with enforcing the boating regulations and the fishing regulations. And the enforcement people are very strapped and have a huge responsibility compared to their resources, and so we need all kinds of help in that. I think there's a new Makai Watch program in Maunalua Bay. I encourage anyone interested to help join in that effort to help us. By being the eyes and ears of what's going on the Bay. And, my hope is that we have, ways to grow better enforcement of the regulations we have. But again, I think the whole community needs to dig in and say, what do we need now, whether it's through the sanctuary process or otherwise.
Okay. Thank you. That is a great segue to the next organization. Is Fraser McGilvey still here? Malama Maunalua would love to see not a zoning per se, but a use of this part of the bay is used for that, and this part of the bay is used for other things. Because quite frankly, I've had town hall meetings with the fishers and the kayakers and the jet skis, and it was ramp rage. When that ramp gets overpopulated, people get angry and upset. And I think Fraser is going to talk about some planning processes that may be going on. Let's welcome Fraser McGilvey.
Thanks, Gene. I'd like to thank Gene Ward and members of our House and Senate representatives for organizing this meeting tonight, and Malia and Suzanne, obviously, for being here as well. We just have a brief statement, no questions per se, but a statement just to give to us all. We're here to listen to the comments of all the stakeholders of Maunalua Bay. Our interest is in the health of the Bay, and we want to work with any group that shares that commitment, be they businesses, the governments, community groups, or individuals. We believe conservation is a bottom line, but not the only bottom line. Restoring the Bay means that people continue to enjoy it, and related businesses continue to benefit the local economy. Our submitted testimony on the possible sanctuary expansion for the Bay is on record, and we will work within the framework of whatever decisions are made. Thank you very much.